teaching the rise of the populist movement using Lev Vygotsky's theory of social constructivism, created by Ramiro Carbajal. As the school year goes on, there are some lessons that are easy to teach. Both my students and I have some sort of passion or interest in the topic that makes it easier for students to understand and learn the material from those lessons. But then there are some lessons that are just boring. I'm referring to those lessons that seem to lag on, and ultimately the students do not learn too much from it. I'm talking about the lessons where students ask themselves, why am I learning this? Why do I have to know this? Why? That is one of the most difficult questions that you have to answer as a teacher. During the industrialization unit that I covered with my 11th grade U.S. history class, I must discuss with my students the reasons that led to the rise of the Populist Party. Either because it is not a very interesting topic or I don't do a good enough job teaching it, they tend to score really low on that standard when we take our unit benchmark. Whenever we get to this topic, I can almost feel the energy draining in this classroom. I have tried different lessons, but so far none have been effective enough that I could call it a success. So now I know that I need to make a change, but the question is what? But before we get to that, first let's learn a little bit about the content of this project. The Industrial Revolution helped shape America during the 19th century, but the progress that was achieved during this century was mostly done on the backs of industrial workers. Social Darwinism ruled American businesses and allowed businessmen to justify the extreme poverty created by the corruption and greed. To make their situation even worse, the U.S. government was behind business and mostly left workers to fight for their own rights by joining labor unions. But joining labor unions was not enough. They needed some sort of representation in Congress that would fight for the reforms that would help the working class and farmers around the country. By the end of the 1800s, people had had enough with this corruption and greed and began pushing for a new political party, a party that would fight for them. That is when the Populist Party emerged and began to gather momentum. Even though they will eventually fail, many of the reforms that they propose will eventually be ideas taken by future progressive politicians and added to society. So even though the Populist Party failed, they did scare many Republicans and Democrats into modifying their views and becoming more progressive, and thus they got reforms passed that helped people. Now that we've discussed the content a little bit, we need to get back to the project. I have been teaching this content for several years now, and I've not come up with an effective lesson that students felt engaged or empowered to use their critical thinking skills to truly learn and retain the information of this era. So I had to figure out which of the many technologies that I have learned in this program so far would be a good fit to take this lesson to a much more productive level. The twist, therefore, that I created, or solution for this lesson, will be that students will use Google Sites in groups of 3 to create a Google Sites page promoting the Populist Party and their platform. It will be a propaganda site that will ask students to explain why the Populist Party rose and what were their solutions to the problems of society that was facing at the end of the 1900s. They would have to include an animation video or an audio presentation. I will tell them that the purpose of the website is convincing people that there is a problem and that the Populist Party is a solution to that problem and that they were there to fix it. The program chosen for this project is Google Sites. Google Sites is a free application provided by Google that allows you to create web pages. This will allow students to create free web pages that will allow them to work together in person or online. They will be able to create a final product that will show why the Populist Party needed to be formed, what were their major reforms, and who would benefit from these reforms. Plus, since they would be creating a website as a group, they will be able to use their collaborative, imaginative, and critical thinking skills to create a great website that promoted the platform of the Populist Party. This Google Sites project will create an effective learning situation because it follows Lev Vygotsky's educational theory of social constructivism. Social constructivism is set in the idea that students must be given opportunities to practice skills such as communication, knowledge sharing, critical thinking, and use of relevant technologies found in the 21st century. It promotes participation in group activities because those activities allow students to generalize and transfer their knowledge of classroom learning and build a strong foundation for communicating ideas orally. This project will definitely fit the educational strategy set by Vygotsky because students will have to work together to create the online assignment. They will collaborate to decide what is the proper way to create a propaganda based website that will display the positives of the Populist Party. This project will also make students use their critical thinking skills in order to decide what information best makes their argument correct that the Populist Party needed to rise and provide the evidence to prove their point. Overall, I found this to be an interactive, interesting educational project. Based on the projects that students turned in, I felt that they grasped the main ideas of this populist movement in a much deeper way than my previous students in other years. Compared to previous assignments on this same topic, students showed more depth in their analysis of the content and definitely presented the facts in a much better way. I've asked a few students what they thought about the project, and for the most part, they felt that it was a fun project to work on. They did say that working online was a bit of a pain because it was harder to keep everybody on task, since they were working in different places and at different times. So the big question is, did students retain more of the content than in previous years? And the answer is a big yes. I gave students a quick formative assessment the day they turned in their project, and the discussions throughout the day were great. They showed me that they had learned a lot more of the content than in my previous years. When I gave them their end of the unit benchmark, they once again did well on the questions that dealt with this topic, so I would definitely call this project a success. Now, can I still make it better? Of course. Finally, I found that creating this project with Windows Movie Maker was pretty easy and kind of fun. It is yet one more cool technology that I have learned in this program that I will incorporate into my classroom. Making a video that incorporates videos, pictures, and audio all together creates another learning tool to get students to truly understand and retain the content being taught. Thank you very much.